What are some random facts you think are cool? Sounds from far away seem louder when it's going to rain because sound travels through water. So say there's a train a mile from your house that you can only hear sometimes. It's because of the water content in the air. When Jimi Hendrix and Neil Young shared a plane to Woodstock 50 years ago this very weekend, they landed at the wrong airport, missing out on the helicopter that was supposed to take them to the festival so they could skip the traffic. The only way they were able to make it was because they stole a truck. Neil says that the time he stole a truck with Jimi Hendrix is one of the highlights of his life. On Christmas Island, a horde of giant crabs scuttles from the rainforest through towns and structures to reach the beach and mate. Later in the year, a thick carpet of tiny crabs take the same route back from the beach into the rainforest. And when I say carpet, I'm not exaggerating. Everything's coated with crabs. Crabs everywhere. It's insane. The United States Navy has started using Xbox controllers for their periscopes. Mike Tyson once offered a zoo attendant $10,000 to let him fight a gorilla. And, perhaps my favorite, there is an official wizard of New Zealand. It snows metal on Venus. The most effective hunter, with a 95% success rate, is the dragonfly. When hummingbirds sleep, they slow down their hearts so much that they are almost dead. Humans and cats/dogs altered each other's evolution. When you pet an animal like a dog or cat, your body releases happy chemical. When a dog or cat is pet, they also release the same chemical. Foxes have incredible hearing. They can hear a watch tick from 40 yards away. If you make a contact in your phone as fucking fucker, you will never get the ducking/fucking autocorrect. You are welcome, my foul-mouthed friends. The voices of Mickey and Minnie Mouse, Dwayne Allwine and Russi Taylor respectively, were married in real life for nearly 20 years. May they both rest in peace. They actually did a test to find out how many licks it takes to get to the center of a lollipop. A group of students at Purdue University legit built a licking machine to model the human tongue. They found that it takes, on average, 364 licks. However, the University of Michigan found out about this test and decided to build their own machine, which took up to 411 licks. Because, science. Kangaroos have 3 vaginas. Also, girl hyenas have dicks. Venus has clouds made of sulfuric acid and it rains metal. Also, Jupiter's famous red spot is actually a supermassive, nearly self-sustaining hurricane-like superstorm capable of producing mile-wide lightning bolts. Also, Neptune and Uranus have nice calm wind speeds approaching around 700 to 800 miles per hour on a nice day. The Moon is also all that's left of an early planet called Theia that sideswiped Earth in its orbit when the solar system was forming. There's more than one kind of giraffe. Cats have a slightly higher core body temperature than humans, which is why they prefer to seek out warmer places, despite being covered in fur. Additionally, they purr at a frequency that's been known to promote healing and bone growth. Not only do they purr when happy, but will also do so when distressed or anxious. They have 32 muscles in each ear, but are also nearsighted. When an item is within 30 centimeters of a cat's face, their whiskers take over as the dominant sense. This is why you might see your cat dragging food out of their bowl. It's uncomfortable to feel the sides of the bowl when they're eating. There's monkeys in Indonesia that adapted to the modern world for their own benefit by running a ransom market at the expense of tourists. They steal phones, purses, video cameras, anything that they realize has value and refuse to give them back unless they're given a cracker. If you cut Alaska in half, Texas would be the 3rd largest state. A second is called a second because it is the second division of the hour by 60, the first division being a minute. You are more likely to be killed by a vending machine than a shark. All apple tree seeds contain all apple tree genetics and choose them at complete random at germination. Because of this, a Granny Smith apple seed could theoretically yield a red delicious. The chances are just abysmally small. As such, there is a very profitable market around taking clippings for cloning from tasty apple trees, and, until the tuition boom of the early 2000s, many universities and colleges who owned apple cultivars would make more money selling clones annually than from tuition, which just goes to show how rare good apple genetics can be. If you, theoretically, fold a standard sheet of printer paper in half approximately 42 times, it will be thick enough to reach the moon. Math: standard piece of printer paper is 0.1 millimeters thick. 0.1 millimeters equals 0.0000001 kilometers. 0.0000001 kilometers x 2 to the power of 42 equals 439,805 kilometers. To get an exact number that reaches exactly the distance to the moon would require a logarithmic function of sorts. It is estimated that it could take photons up to nearly 200,000 years to get from within the center of the Sun, and only 8 minutes thereafter to travel the 93 million miles to Earth. I think it's cool that it could have taken up to 200,000 years for the light shining on us at any given time just to get here. The light that we all have now was in the center of the Sun at the dawn of mankind itself. Everyone knows that Coca-Cola originally had cocaine in it, but fewer people know the dark past of its competitor, Pepsi. From its inception in 1893 until 1898, the lesser cola bore the name Brad's Drink. A woodpecker wraps its tongue around its brain before pecking at trees. A human head weighs about the same as a bowling ball. Your arm span is almost your exact height. Napoleon was 0.0158 football field tall. We have all heard the saying everybody puts their pants on one leg at a time, as the great equalizer. But studies show that only 85% of people put their pants on one leg at a time. So, 1. We need to chill a bit about statistics. Things ain't always as they seem, and 2. 15% of you are freaks. I read recently that elephants think humans are cute. You can get a blood clot from a hickey and die. Every time a sloth poops, it has a slight chance of dying. That Ringo Starr was a lefty and used a right-handed drum kit. Maine is the closest US state to the African continent. Hi there /r/today learned, a few hours from now. It's a Small World. The Disneyland ride was originally made for Pepsi's Pavilion in the 1964 World's Fair, and it was an extremely last-minute decision to do, since the board of directors couldn't decide until Joan Crawford just hired Walt Disney to design it, since they had no time left. Disney only had 11 months to design and build it, while also building attractions for the pavilions of Illinois, Ford, General Electric, and Kodak. Another fun fact, every single Disney-made attraction at that World's Fair made its way to Disneyland afterwards. The Himalayas grows about an centimeter or 0.394 inch a year because it is situated over rising tectonic plates. There is a Hawaiian goddess of fertility that has a flying detachable vag. The English language is weird. You can understand it through tough thorough thought, though. Squids have donut-shaped brains that go around their throat. Therefore, if a squid swallows a piece of food too big for it, it can compress their brain and potentially cause brain damage or death. The apple tree that inspired Sir Isaac Newton's theory of gravity is still alive and producing fruit. If you take away all his Wayne Gretzky's goals, he's still the all-time leading point scorer in NHL history. We live closer in time to when the T-Rex was on the Earth than it did to the Stegosaurus being around. Identical twins have different fingerprints. The pyramids are as old to the Romans as the Romans are to us. They called them great structures. If you ate a polar bear's liver, you would die of a vitamin O overdose. Each cat nose print is unique like a human's fingerprint. The term that describes the day that comes after tomorrow is called overmorrow. Snails are one single muscle. Turtles masturbate. The self-guided rocket, kamikaze plane, the MXY-7 Oka used in limited quantities by the Japanese Empire was to be released from a Mitsubishi G4M1 bomber, was given its name because Oka means cherry blossom, and like a petal from a cherry blossom tree will never return to the tree, the pilot would never return to their homeland. Only female mosquitoes bite. Scientists found a mushroom that eats the main component in plastic and turns it into natural matter. Sunflowers are made up of a bunch of tiny flowers. I saw it recently on a different /r/AskReddit thread. I would link it and give credit to the original poster, but I can't find it. Sorry for the karma stealing, but you can drive south in Detroit to get into Canada. Chocolate, or to be exact cocoa beans, is actually a poison. Hence why dogs, cats, birds, basically any animal that eats it dies. To them, it's the same as cyanide, derived from almonds, which we also eat. So several foods mankind eat are actually deadly toxic, and the only reason it's not fatal is due to increased tolerance to poisons that was someone introduced to humanity at some point in history. Spider's legs are powered by a hydraulic-like system using its own blood pressure for mechanical movement. That's why when they die their legs curl up, because the pressure gradient is lost. Elf, Iron Man, and a lot of the Disney remakes were all made by one guy. Also that Buffy, Avengers, and Toy Story 1 all were either co-wrote or directed by the same guy. Also that 3 of the 10 highest grossing movies of all time, adjusted for inflation, were directed by one guy. Utilities are: a Rubik's Cube is always 20 or less moves away from being solved. If sound traveled through space, then you would always hear the sun and it would be as loud as a jackhammer anywhere on Earth. It's horrifying thinking about it. Echidnas have 4-headed dicks. Otters have a skin pocket to store their favorite rock. Most rivers on Earth used to be lattice-structured, meaning there are many crossing shallow channels, before vegetation became common. After vegetation became common, rivers took more of a modern single deep channel structure because plants changed how erosion occurred. I'm not a geologist, so I might be a little off, but I just learned that in a class and thought it was pretty darn cool. Edit spelling. You can always see your nose, something is always touching you, you have never seen your own face, just reflections and pictures. Lightning strikes the earth 8.6 million times a day. Ice cleans itself as it melts. Sharks have existed longer than trees. Dolphins use pufferfish to get high. Female giraffes have tufts of fur on their horns. If you scroll real fast to the right on YouTube for consoles, or at least Xbox, a corgi will run along the time bar. I feel like this is well known, but I'm still proud of finding this out myself. The dot that appears over the letter I is called a tittle. Not sure how cool this fact is, but it's pretty startling. Mosquitoes have killed almost half of all people who have ever lived.